Hello and welcome to WNPC TV1. I am your host today. I am Dr. Peggy Woods of Right Now Publishing Company. Welcome. Many people ask me, how should I start my story? I want to write a book, but I don't know where to start or how to start. Well, do not fear. I have a simple lesson for you today on how to start your story and where to start. But first of all, when they tell me I want to write about my life, that's a huge topic. I mean, your life, there's so many aspects of your life. So you want to just hone in and you want to just narrow it down and you just want to tell one story. The story that you want to tell is that story that you love, that story that you always wanted to tell but never had an audience to tell it to. You know that story? And so you want to write that story down. And there's many ways you can do it. You can type it on the typewriter, not typewriter, well, if you have a typewriter, that's a long time ago, but you can type it on the computer. You can write it on a blank piece of paper. Perhaps you like blank paper because you can not only write freestyle, but you can put pictures. You can write it on line paper if you prefer more organized system. Write it on a piece of line paper. You can tell your story on a recorder, because some people, they talk better than they write. I write better than I talk, but it's the opposite. So they can record it, and this recorder connects to your computer and will also translate. And in addition, you can type it on your computer and you can set up the software where that it will actually type it out for you. But whatever you write it on, you're going to end up typing it anyway. But you're going to tell one story. That is the key. One story. Only one story. If you get tempted and you want to start talking about another story, write it on another piece of paper. But focus on that one story. So I'm going to give you an example. My cat named Fluffy got caught in a tree. Well, she got stuck in the tree. So I will start like this. I was looking all around the house and I could not find Fluffy. Fluffy, Fluffy, where are you, Fluffy? I was so afraid that something happened to Fluffy. I went outside and there she was, stuck in a tree. I didn't know what to do. I didn't know if I could really call a fireman or not. That might have been a little extreme. So I decided I would be brave today and I'm going to get Fluffy out of the tree. I was really nervous about that because I never climbed a tree before. But before I knew it, 1, 2 steps, I was up on the top branch because I was so afraid for Fluffy. When I got to the branch, I didn't want to look down. I was shaking like a leaf, no pun intended. But there she was, meow, meow, waiting for me to rescue her. I called to her, Fluffy, Fluffy, come, come, I'll help you, Fluffy. Just come to me. She didn't move. I grabbed Fluffy, I tucked her under in my arms, and with one hand, I hurled down that tree and I got Fluffy. End of story. Okay, so what did I do? I told the story. I told you how I felt, how I was afraid for Fluffy. I was looking for Fluffy. There she was. I talked about how she meowed, and how I just took 2 steps and I was up the tree. And so you want to talk about in your story, you definitely want to talk about what your thoughts were before when you were looking for a Fluffy. You definitely want to talk about how you felt about having Fluffy in that tree and how afraid you were. And then at the end of the story, you can say, you know what? I realized I was a hero that day. And so that would be the theme of your story. The hero, saving your cat. Now, that's just one story, but just enjoy it, just write it. What happens is now you think of another story. So again, grab your paper, grab your pen, and you write the second story. You keep writing these stories. They come from nowhere, believe me, because there's been stories inside of you that you've had wanted to share for years, and now here they come. So you start writing these stories, and you're thinking, well, how is this a book? I don't know how to put this together. But there's a couple of things that will happen. One, you will be able to connect some dots. Perhaps all of the stories are about how you saved something or how you rescued something. Or I'll tell you another story. There's a young lady that I met, Dr. Moorhead. Dr. Moorhead is a dentist, and she's a very young and very bright dentist. She didn't know she was going to be a dentist when she grew up, but she said she entered a contest and she made a bridge. Okay? So I'm writing the word bridge. I'm not going to draw it because that's not my forte. Then she also said, I used to work in my parents' lab. They own this lab, and at first I learned good customer service. And then I learned how to actually work with the specimen, and I loved it. And my parents would say, come on, you got to go to the lab. And I'd go to the lab with them and work with them. So here she is. She works in a lab. Now, when I went to college, I took psychology, and I realized I like psychology. So here she is taking psychology. She said when I started off, and I don't know if this is forwards or backwards, but when I started off and I made a bridge, I learned I love working with my hands. When I worked in the lab, I realized I like medicine and I like psychology. So one day it came to her, I'm going to be a dentist. And she got the idea of being a dentist from being able to work with her hand, doing medicine and psychology. And the psychology came in because she's a holistic dentist and a very good one in Westchester. That's Dr. Moorhead. So she was able to take the dots and connect the dots. That's what may happen to you as well. You'll be able to say, oh, these stories are about one particular thing, or I'm going to connect the dots. Or you may start off and you may know, like I knew when I wrote my book, 10 Tips for Power Thinking. Oh, where are you, book? Anyway, when I wrote 10 Tips for Power Thinking, I had a problem, and the problem was ever since I was a little girl, I would meet my friends and I'd talk to them, and they would say, I can't do that. And I would wonder, well, why are you saying I can't do that if you never tried? And so I would always encourage my friends to believe that they could do the things that they thought they couldn't do. And even as an adult, I do that. I talk to hundreds of people and let them know that they can do those things because you never tried, so there's no past experiences that you can relate to. The past experience that people relate to is that I've never done this, but there's a lot of things you've never done. So it is irrelevant. But when I wrote the book, I knew that I wanted to help people to change their mindset and believe they can do the things that they could do. And so I wrote out the chapters one at a time, visualization or vision, setting emotional boundaries. And I said, what are the things that people were limiting themselves and how? And so I wrote out these different subject matters and I wrote the subjects one at a time. And the book is called 10 Tips for Power Thinking. Maximize your health and your happiness for an empowered life. And you can find it on my network, which is www.publish-rightnow.com. www.publish-rightnow.com, and that's right as in WRITE. So I kind of had an idea what I was going to write. I didn't have the topic, but the title actually a friend gave to me when I told her what I wanted to write. And so she said, that sounds like, and I'm like, oh, okay, so that is it. And so I knew the topics, and then each story I wrote one at a time, one chapter at a time, one top idea at a time, one story at a time. And what this does is it keeps your ideas organized. It also helps your editor to be able to edit your book, because a lot of people come to our company and they say, oh, can you edit my book, when it's actually a rewrite because your stories are all mixed together. And so you don't have uh, one complete thought. I'm editing a book right now where it's a good book. However, there's no names. No one has names, and so we have to work on that. But there's different aspects. You don't have to really worry about that. All you have to do is write one story at a time, and you will be on your way to composing your book. So again, I just want to thank you for joining me. Right Now Publishing Company, WPNC TV1. I want to thank you for allowing me to help you to tell your story, one story at a time. And if you have any questions, you can contact us on the network. You can chat with us. You can dial us at 853-1616. You can email me, Peggy at Peggy at publish-rightnow.com. Or you can, again, come on our network and chat. And I want to say happy writing and God bless.